Okay. Can we get unmuted in the chambers? It looks like we are. So can you hear us, Sheila?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can, yes. All right, the time is now 7 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. May we have roll call, please?
Mayor Reichel?
Here.
Pro Tem Hanrahan?
Here.
Trustee Bretnall?
Here.
Trustee Klassen?
Here.
Trustee Engelhardt?
Here.
Trustee Poston?
Here.
Trustee Seifert?
Here.
All right, may we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, be seated. All right, the first item on tonight's agenda is public comment. Persons desiring to make a public comment on items not on the agenda, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program, or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to non-agenda items.
No, I did not hear from anyone, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
I do not show any raised hands.
thank you.
We do have Mr. Mike Cerise here to address the board.
All right, sounds good. Mike, if you'd like to come on up to the
Sure.
table, state your name and address.
So I'm Mike Cerise. I have a business in town, Double Down Hauling. My address is 106 North 8th Street. And just for clarification, do I have 3 minutes or do I have 15?
Three.
Okay. Well, it's gonna be a lot shorter than what I had planned for.
All right.
So I'm just gonna address parking like I put on the form. I was gonna address a bunch of other issues, but that's probably the most important I see.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yep, the floor is yours.
All right. So basically, I've incurred some tickets, warnings, notices, and I kind of feel targeted. And I've went through the proper channels. I've talked to Sergeant Hickson. I've talked to the old chief, Mike Kite. I've talked to the new chief, Derek Gress. Gress, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And I also talked to the town manager, Jim Mann. They all advised me to come here, so that's why I'm here today. Basically, 8th Street's great. You guys did the expansion. But the problem I have with it is it's like there's a good side of the street and there's a bad side of the street. I've noticed that the good side of the street, which is basically the west side, has gotten a lot of leniency and favors, and all I can say is that I'm on the other side of the street and I don't see the same thing. And whenever I feel if you give preference to one, you're discriminating against the other, right? So what's happened is I've had my personal truck ticketed by Officer, go back to my notes here, Kalen Hurst, I believe is how you pronounce it, for parking 30 feet from a stop sign. It's not enforced anywhere else in town. There's parking across the street that you guys let 30 feet from a stop sign. Parking's not marked. In City Glenwood Springs, where Mr. Sawyer's at, they marked the curb red. They put up signs, no parking here to corner. They will put 2-hour parking signs. Anyway, I'm gonna hurry and get through this because I don't have enough time. But, signs were erected on my street. On the good side, they were taken down immediately, the 2-hour parking. My side of the street, right in front of my office, that sign stayed until the day I met with Jim Mann. And by the time I left his meeting, I met with the chief for another 40 minutes probably. And I got back to my shop and guess what? It was actually taken down. I also parked my trailer on the good side of the street for 3 days. Nobody tagged it. It's one of three things. Either I got my point across and they're like, don't poke that guy again. Or they decided that they couldn't do it because they didn't want to tag the utility or the catering truck that Mr. Mann so eloquently pointed out that Christian needs to run his business, but I own a hauling business with trailers, but my trailers can get tagged. His can sit there for 2 months, untagged. He moved it one day because he asked me if I would move my trailer that I parked right in front of it. And I did, a day early, so he could do his catering gig on Saturday for the Colorado Fire down in Rifle. But other than that, it sat there. So is that my time?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Can you leave a contact
Sure can.
information with Jim, or if Jim already has it?
You got a number you want to use or an email address?
Give you either one.
You can write it down if you don't want it on the public record.
Public record's fine. I might get business, you know. Mr.
you go.
Jerry, I've known Jerry forever. He's
You want-
never called me for gravel yet.
You want to give me a phone number?
Sure, 970-379, 0703. No, don't worry, it's on the side of my truck. I tried.
0703.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming in, Mike.
in.
You're welcome.
Okay. Do we have anybody else signed in for public comments? No? Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda, which has a lot on it tonight. So, item number 1 is the minutes of the December 8th, 2025 Board of Trustees meeting. Item number 2 is resolution number 1, series 2026, a resolution dating the public place for posting notices per CRS section 24-6-4022C. Third item, resolution number 2, series 2026, a resolution of the Board of Trustees appointing Colorado River Engineering as the town water engineer and Michael Sawyer as the town water attorney of the town of Silt, Colorado. Fourth item is resolution number 3, series 2026, a resolution of the Board of Trustees renewing the service agreement with Boundaries Unlimited as the town engineer of the town of Silt, Colorado. Item 5 is a 7-party memorandum of understanding regarding the Garfield County older adult programs for 2026, and that is it. Would anybody like to discuss any of those items or make a motion?
I have a question, I guess, so resolution 2 and 3, those are for 1 year, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Should it say that on there? I mean, it doesn't say, it just says, I'm just asking. Should it say for the year of 2026, or? I don't know,
It does
states it in the
clarify that it's
resolution.
January through December.
okay.
The resolution language actually states it's
Okay,
for the.
okay, I thought I was just double checking, okay.
Okay.
And I guess if a citizen was curious as to what, like the rate of pay, they could find it in the budget?
Not specifically the hourly rates,
Okay.
but,
I was just
yeah.
curious.
But we do have that information. And if it's something that the Board of Trustees would want to actually be in the resolutions, we certainly could attach it as an exhibit.
Our fee schedule shows what we charge.
Fee schedule shows what we charge. It does not show what we are being charged by.
Right. By the,
These parties.
These parties, okay. Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
All right. We have a motion by trustee Seifert to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by trustee Poston. Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay,
All right.
all right, let's make a transition,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, well, I think so. Right.
Okay.
Sheila's got to come in and swear.
And sir, wishing you
Swear at you
all
people.
the best. We in good hands. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Andrea.
Never see you around.
Yeah. Okay, good luck. Oh, okay. Thank you. Perfect.
Okay. Since he is remote? Okay. All right. So yeah, the next item on the agenda is the swearing in of the newly elected trustees, and I will turn this over to Clerk McIntyre.
Derek, can you hear me?
There he is.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Derek Hanrahan,
do affirm that I will support
do affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the laws of the state of Colorado
and the laws of the state of Colorado
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Silt,
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Silt,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
upon which I'm about to enter into the best of my ability.
upon which I am about to enter to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Stand up.
You will. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Justin Britnell,
Do affirm that I will support
do affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the laws of the state of Colorado
and the laws of the state of Colorado
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Silt,
and the charter and the ordinances of the town of Silt,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
upon which I'm about to enter into the best of my ability.
upon which I'm about to enter into the best of my abilities.
OCD, what can I say?
I state your name.
I, Kimberly Engelhardt,
Affirm that I will support
affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the laws of the state of Colorado
and the laws of the state of Colorado
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Silt,
and the charter and the ordinances of the town of Silt,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the
of
duties
the office of trustee
of the office of trustee
upon which I'm about to enter and to the
Upon-
best of my ability.
upon which I am about to enter and to the best of my ability. Thank you.
You know the drill, huh?
Yeah.
I state your name.
I, Alex Sanchez,
Do affirm that I will support
do affirm that I will
the
support
Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the laws of the state of Colorado
and the laws of the state of
and
Colorado
the charter and ordinances of the town of Silt,
and the charters and ordinances of the town of Silt,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the
of
duties
the office of trustee
of the office of trustees,
upon which I'm about to enter and to the best of my ability.
upon which I'm about to enter and to the best of my ability.
Come aboard.
Thank
Leave these with you to sign, and then I'll just pick them up at the end of the night.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, wait, this is for Derek.
You can sign his too.
Well, congratulations, everybody. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda would be the nomination of Mayor Pro Tem.
I would like to nominate that Derek Hanrahan continues in that role. I feel like he's a strong leader. He's extremely involved in a lot of extra activities and things that I feel like having the title of Mayor Pro Tem when he's at the chamber and all these other things gives a little bit more weight to what he's saying for some of those things. So I just feel like that's important.
I totally agree and I would support that nomination. I think Derek has done an excellent job. We know he cares, and he's so competent, and just, I feel like he's doing a great job, and we really benefit, I think, from having him as Mayor Pro Tem. So that's who I would nominate as well.
Okay.
I was gonna nominate Trustee Engelhardt, but Hanrahan, I'll support that.
I support Trustee Hanrahan also.
I also support him.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
Should probably make sure that the trustee Hanrahan accepts the nomination.
I accept it enthusiastically. It's a privilege.
Okay. Sounds like he will.
He was going to be voluntold.
Yeah.
I will formally nominate Derek Hanrahan to be our Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll
again.
second.
All right. So motion by Trustee Engelhardt to nominate Derek Hanrahan as our Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Trustee Clausen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Well,
Do any board members have any conflicts of interest with agenda items this evening?
No, sir.
None here.
I have none either. Any agenda changes by staff or by the board?
No, sir.
Derek, anything to change?
Nothing on my side.
All right. Then next we will move on to the water plant construction update with Dan Galvin.
Getting down to the end.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Dan Galvin with Garney Construction. This month's continued update of our construction progress over at the water treatment plant. As always, health and safety. Again, pleased to comment that no issues with those at the site. We do have a reduced crew doing some essentially touch-up, clean-up, and then a little bit of the equipment work. So not a lot of not any high-risk activities going on to help promote that safety. We have the gate functioning a little different now, not opened as much. So we're continue to monitor traffic in and out, and then work with plant staff on some of the operation and maintenance of that, get some everybody up to a speed on the way things are working now with that. And then we continue with weather awareness, watching now the cold weather roll in, a little bit of moisture here and there, and then again, fortunately, most of the work now is inside, so it doesn't really affect the crews very much. And then daylight, watching those changes as well. Again, making sure everybody stays safe and visible. Regarding construction progress, equipment continues to get started up. Of the 2 large pieces of equipment in there, one vendor has already come out for our sand filters, got the media in there, did some washing with it, and now there's just a couple of pieces on top that the guys are installing now to get that very close to final. The other large piece of equipment, that vendor showed up last week, and they'll be here for about a 3-week duration to go through the startup process of that, starting with electronics, making sure all that stuff's communicating, signals are going to the right places, and then this week into next week, operating that, make sure everything turns on and off, opens and closes like it's supposed to, and then we'll be pushing water through the system so they can monitor that, and that'll be the river water going through there so they can monitor that and then dial that in, get some of the, make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then over in the existing plant, like we've talked about previous, we've moved some of the existing stuff around to make way for the UV equipment. That's the larger piece of equipment that sits in that room. So that's getting installed. The piping around that's getting installed. So there's a few more holes in the floor that we can drill that will allow that water into the existing basin there and then out through distribution. So that's ongoing. And that's really the focus of what the crew's working on, less a little bit of support for the equipment startup stuff. And then chemicals, believe we received a shipment today, and then chemicals have been slowly coming onto the site as well as this equipment's getting checked out, again in preparation for running everything in unison. Highlight, I guess, the last time and the one I'd report back on was schedule. I said I would talk to Jim. I didn't give him very good notice regarding Mayor Pro Tem Hanrahan's request for ribbon cutting. So we're sticking to our progress out there. As with the new plant's been getting started up, 1 or 2 bugs out of the old plant has surfaced, but we're addressing those. And so our recommendation is continue what we're doing, get the new plant up and going. Like we talked about before, make sure it's doing what's supposed to, get it past the state regulations, and then give plant staff a little bit of time to get themselves familiar with the operations of the new plant. And with that, we'd essentially recommend like middle of April, early April for a ribbon cutting. Again, the plant would be up and functioning, but this just gives it time to go through its paces, get plant staff familiar with it. Part of that, then when they can do the decent job, the great job of escorting everyone through it, and then when they ask questions, instead of we just got in here, they have an opportunity to have some facts behind their answers for their questions. And so we can sit on that one and discuss further. From there, budget, again, as we're getting close to the end, it's been a small crew on site. We've essentially all the bills for the large equipment's come in. Now it's just the last 5-10% of everything for the startup and commissioning items. So with that, essentially 90% billed out. 5% of the remaining is essentially contingency, which again, we met with the group a while back, a few weeks ago, and have a list out there of a few of the important items. Again, some of these end-of-life equipment replacements in the existing plant to distribute that contingency for, and then the remainder, again, is just essentially the retainage and then the startup of the rest of the equipment, and the strainer, our last piece of equipment, that'll be coming in. And with that, glad to open it up to the group for questions.
I don't have any questions. I mean, we're getting close. I'm excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing.
Do we have an ETA on the strainer?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not still being built or anything?
No. It's the strainer was easy. It's the electronics that are attached to it.
Okay.
And so that, I mean, in this industry, it's common that all the electronics are usually the longer lead items. Unfortunately, we need those guys more than they need us, and there's only like 3 or 4 of them that make all the electronic parts of the equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything from staff?
We will be before you at the next meeting with a change order, and it's a change order that is non-monetary. It is just a change order reflecting the dates for the startup and completion.
Okay.
Did the budget include money for cake at the open house?
I believe.
I think we can cover that.
CDPHE, I think, says that they part of their scope that they can cover that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's priorities.
Priorities, yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dan.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dan.
Congratulations, everybody, on the swearing in.
Thank you,
It was fun
Dan.
to see that.
Next up is the Healthy Beverage Project presentation with Christine Doolin. Is she here or is she online?
She, I don't believe, has arrived yet, so I think we'll just.
Somebody is walking in right now.
All right.
And if this is Christine Dolan, she is like right on time.
Right on time. If you're ready, come on up to the table and we'll give you a minute to get set, and the floor is yours. Yes.
Do you have my presentation up, or do I need to?
Yes. Sheila will be able to scroll through.
Okay, so I can just say next slide?
Yep.
Awesome. We ready?
Whenever you are.
Yes, ma'am.
The floor is yours.
Hit the ground running.
Yeah,
Okay.
take your time. We just got here.
I'm Christine Dolan. I work for Garfield County Public Health. I'm the Nutrition Programs Manager, which involves overseeing the WIC program, a maternal and child health produce program where we give produce to early childhood educators to share with the kids in their care and teach them about fresh fruits and vegetables. Another part of my job, overseeing senior congregate meals, cooking matters, part of the Mountain Coalition for Food and Nutrition Security. And then this particular piece of my job is called the Healthy Beverage Partnership. It's a grant funded through tobacco tax dollars, so Amendment 35. And as you can see, those are our other partners. We're the only county on the Western Slope involved in this partnership, with the goal of reducing the consumption of sugary beverages among our community members. Local partners, we have District 16's Family Resource Center, Community Health Services Dental Oral Health Program, which is the program that goes into schools and does dental cleaning and care. And then the Mountain Coalition for Food and Nutrition Security, which is a food access coalition. So, next slide, please. So why would we focus on sugary drinks? Next slide, please. So one sugary drink a day increases your risk of heart disease by about 33%, diabetes by 25%, too much weight for health or obesity by 55%, and kidney stones by 23%. Next slide, please. So sugary beverages are considered an ultra-processed food, and I know that's kind of a popular term lately. And one of the things that makes it different than other foods, that like a candy bar or something, is if you drink a sugary beverage, you absorb it more quickly, you metabolize it faster, and so your insulin shoots up. So we've all done this. You know, you drink something like that to get you through the end of the day, and then you kind of have a crash. The other thing that happens is, you know, it's a lot of extra glucose in your system, so your body, your liver in particular, turns that into fat and typically store it around your organs and in your abdomen, which is the most dangerous place to have fat. And that leads to things like type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and the things that I mentioned previously. The other thing is, it doesn't fill you up. So if you drink stuff like that, typically you're still hungry. And so what data supports is that people don't eat less if they drink a lot of sugary drinks. So it's just additional calories. Next slide, please. Oh, no, wait, back slide, please. So sugary drinks are the #1 source of added sugar in America's diets and the #3 source of added calories in Americans' diets. Now, next slide, please. On average, kids consume about 30 gallons of sugary drinks in a year. It's enough to fill a bathtub, and it's the equivalent of about 60,000 calories. Next slide, please. And so this generation of children born after the year 2000 are the first kids in history to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents because of the previously mentioned diseases. And Colorado, we know, is typically touted as the leanest state in the nation, but that's not true of our children. Children 10 to 17, we now fall in about the middle of the pack with other states. And really, with Colorado, we started in a better position when they started measuring like rates of obesity. Colorado was here and some other states, and I'm going to pick on Mississippi. Hopefully no one's from there, but they started maybe here, and we've both increased like this, so it's been like a parallel line. So even though we remain the leanest state, we're still not doing great, and particularly our kids aren't doing great. Next slide, please. So this is some local data, part of the Healthy Kids Survey, and so for middle school and high schoolers, and you can see, like particularly for Coleridge, RE2 didn't participate after 2019, but you can kind of see the trends. And so these are students that have at least one, possibly more sodas in the last 7 days. And so the thing to note with this is there's been an increase. Next slide, please. And this is the percentage of students who drink sports drinks and energy drinks, so higher numbers. And you can see again, there's probably a smaller increase, but an increase between, say, 2019 to 2023. The survey is conducted every couple of years. Next slide, please. So this is a graph of chronic disease rates and dental caries by municipalities in Garfield County. So the first line is heart disease. So if we're looking at Silt, Silt's actually doing a little bit better than the state average, which is 7%. The next line, the orange one, is diabetes, so the state average is about 7%. So we're doing a little bit better there. Obesity, we're a little bit higher in Silt. Sorry, I have black and white, so I'm having trouble reading this. Where are we? The yellow is youth, so 6 to age 17, rates of obesity about at the state average, and lighter blue is dental caries. And it's kind of hard to find data that you can compare. It's a little bit of an apples and oranges thing, but overall, a little bit better with dental caries, although I was talking to a coworker today that works in the dental program that goes into the schools, and she said when they go in, pretty much weekly, they find a student who has about $5,000 worth of dental needs because their teeth are so decayed. And I'm not saying the only reason is sugary beverages, but it's definitely a contributor. Okay, next slide, please. So what can we do? Implement public awareness campaigns, doing what I'm doing. I work with, like I said, schools and public health clients, the WIC clients, things like that, to try to educate people on the benefits of drinking water, taking care of your health, and avoiding sugary beverages, making small changes so that they can reduce their intake of these things over time. Next slide, please. Build on federal standards, so there are kind of rules in place, guidelines for restricting sugary beverages in youth-oriented settings, child cares, and like schools, the soda machines are locked during the day and then they open them at the end of the day. They are making some changes, like in school food, less sugary yogurts and cereals and things like that, but there's more we can do. Okay, next slide, please. Restricting marketing of sugary beverages to children and youth. So essentially, the playbook is the same as what tobacco did. It's a lot of advertising, promoting things with cartoon characters, trying
Tobacco's still doing it. Vaping. Tobacco's still doing it now, just with vaping.
So just trying to find their way in, and it's like a, what do they call it? Cradle to grave marketing, where they catch kids when they're young. They have an appetite for real sweet drinks, and that just becomes a routine. And they target specifically populations that are low income and young kids. And some of the tobacco companies actually own some of the sugary beverage companies, and I don't recall that, and I don't want to misspeak, but it is interesting because I have this image of them like going, well, we've done all this marketing for tobacco, like where can we apply this? And it's like, oh, let's look at sugary beverages. Okay, next slide, please. So that I know this is hard to read, and if anyone wants a copy, I'm happy to share that. But it's basically supporting healthy meetings and events. So if it's Silt heydays or something, that there's places to get water, to refill a water bottle or something. If it's a meeting, so you have coffee and donuts, but you also have either water and some cut up fruit or something like that, just so people have a choice. It's not that there's never a reason to have things like this, it's just to not make it the only choice. Next slide, please. Increasing the price of sugary drinks, whether it's like through a tax or a fee. And some of, like, one of our partners in this project are looking at instituting a fee in their county, and the collected money would go to support food access, so places like Lift Up or food pantries, things like that. So gives them the opportunity to have some sustainable funding, and it reduces probably by about 30% the consumption of sugary beverages. The group I mentioned earlier, the Coalition for Food and Nutrition Security, is going to have a conversation around this type of thing later in the spring. And if anyone is interested, I'll make sure, to send an invitation. What we are spending more of our time on is a project that's part of this grant, Healthy Drinks and Kids Meals. I know there's not a ton of restaurants in Silt, but we're targeting, or we're trying to work with restaurants who have bundled kids meals, so hamburger, french fries, and whatever, a drink, that the default option, what is offered to the family, is either milk, water, seltzer, not a sugary drink. If the family then says, no, we want whatever, a lemonade or a soda or something like that, it's perfectly fine, but just that the thing that's offered, and what they've seen in research is about 60% of the time the family just goes with what's offered. And so it's another opportunity for families to be able to just control or reject some of those things. Because once the offer is made, it's a little hard. I've had kids to retract once they've heard that offer made. And people eat out now so much more than they did years back, that this kind of small change and seemingly pretty benign change really does help to decrease that consumption. Okay, and it doesn't cost the restaurants more money. Okay, next slide, please. So we are, like I said, trying to work with restaurants in the community. I haven't visited with the restaurants in Silt, although I live here, I live in Peach Valley. When I go in, I usually scan the menus to see if they have something. But just having the conversation with restaurant owners, I've found that they're really receptive to making changes. They're typically interested in doing things that are healthy. We have some money in our grant if we have to help them with reprinting menus or the little things the kids color on and putting more healthy messaging on it and things like that. So that's kind of where we're spending our time right now. And just trying to help people to do what is good for the families that are their customers and good for their bottom line. So that is all I have to say tonight. If you have questions or comments, I'm curious if you folks have an opinion about sugary beverage policy or some of the stuff I talked about, whether it's the tax stuff, a fee, or working with restaurants.
I learned the other day that soda it's like direct, glycogen? So the sugar, it's like mainlining sugar. And then the study was like, if you're in the same room as soda, your body can start reacting like in an addictive manner. It's so bad for you. So, I don't like soda, but having not been in the habit of drinking it for so long, I find it really repulsive. But so, I don't know. I think kids get addicted to it, and that freaks me out. I think we've had a lot of discussions about how to not infringe on people's, people should still have the ability to make choices, right? So I'm just interested in some of those policy ideas.
Yeah, certainly people get to choose. I think working in public health, a lot of what we talk about is the end game, where people have diabetes, they have heart disease, and the cost of insurance. And if people could prevent disease and not need insurance in the way they do once they're sick, it's like a good business case for it if you can prevent the disease. So I think it's a conversation worth having, is like, at what point do you not try to take people's choice away? And what we're suggesting is not to take it away, but like in the instance of the restaurant, to make the primary offer is something that's healthier And then the other options are still there for anyone that wants them.
Sometimes just the people learning, like they don't realize how bad it is for them. Like juice,
Yeah.
you know, like juice is still.
You know, and you metabolize juice the same way that you do a soda. It's basically a sugary beverage with some vitamins in it. If you ate a piece of fruit, you slow down the metabolism, you absorb it a little slower so you don't get the big spikes. But juice is essentially a sugary beverage with vitamins. And so there is some talk about how we send that messaging, because it's not the same, but it can have the same effects. I work for the WIC program. I've done that for a long time, and one of the things we're doing with our food package, so people get, milk and cheese and eggs and fruits and vegetables and things, and then if they choose to not get juice, because that is part of the WIC food package, they get more money for fruits and vegetables. And I'd say far and away people choose that option. They'd rather have the fruits and vegetables. So I do think the messaging is getting out there. But these are littler kids with the parents in control of the budget and the household. And the thing we're seeing in the data that I presented is, adolescents and teens who start to get a little pocket money. And I work in Rifle. I see them come down the hill from the high school and go to City Market, and I can see what they come back with. And yeah, that's the target market.
Yeah, I think this one is a tough one, like where government steps in and where people make their own choices. But I think the restaurant reach out, things like that, are a good plan. The meeting with children in schools, letting them know. I always remember in the science fair, you always had the one kid that did the little Ziploc bags of how much sugar's in each drink.
We have those in our waiting room.
Yeah, and I do think it's also a thing as an adult, though, you don't, at least I don't think about it like you got to eat and you order a soda. I'm not thinking that there's that whole Ziploc bag full of sugar in there, so.
Yeah, and I think it's something good to be reminded of, and we're always just trying to keep that in front of people, because the companies that are marketing things like this, whether it's sugary beverages or junk food or tobacco, whatever, they outspend the public health budget nationally on one McRib or one, they have so much money. So it's really challenging for us to try to get a foothold when, maybe they listen to someone like me, have this conversation, and then turn on their iPad and, it's just ads of, and that's hard. As an adult, I'm a registered dietitian. I struggle with being influenced. I was waiting for this meeting, and I thought, well, I could go by Burning Mountain on my way home and get a cookie, or, you just,
How do you feel if SNAP eliminates being able to purchase sugary snacks? Do you think it's going to make an impact?
I don't know the statistics on how much people end up buying. If you get food stamps, your food budget is pretty small. So I would imagine most people do not spend their money on sugary beverages. I also feel like the message is, if you're in need of sugary food stamps, we're going to take the decision away from you. So not only are you low income, you're also just need this kind of additional oversight. So that part of it troubles me. I get the point of it, though, because it's I don't want people spending their money on junk. But I kind of think the problem lies with some of the companies that market this. And go on my soapbox, the new dietary guidelines came out yesterday, and it's a lot about, individual responsibility and stuff. And I think there's no guidance for the companies that make and market some of these things. And I think that they need to be accountable too.
Okay. All right.
I would just like to say, I think I echo some of the comments around partnering with restaurants and places that we have here. I mean, it's great to see where Silt lies compared to other communities, but I always think that could be better. And hopefully in future, reports that does continue on a better trend.
Yeah.
I think with schools, it's great to hear what's already being done, but I think of the other connections that schools have with students and like sporting events. I've got little brother and sisters go to their games, and I think a lot of the concession stands will either offer a lot of those sugary drinks or water, and there's not kind of a, well, maybe I don't want water, but maybe I don't want a soda. Like, what other options could I have? So I don't know if there's any way to even approach that subject and just say, could you guys expand some of the offerings even there? So that way kids have those options to consider if they want something that's maybe not a soda, to again try and help battle some of the issues that are coming up in that report.
Yeah, because it's like an impulse thing, you're standing there waiting, and while you're waiting, you're changing your mind about what you're gonna get. You have great intentions, and then, and we did do, some years back, we had a different grant and worked with like PTAs and whatever to try to, where we bought the snacks for them, so they didn't have to invest in money in things that maybe they were worried weren't gonna sell. So we'd get some healthier stuff, and, but a few years later, it's a new set of parents, and we didn't have the grant money anymore, and so I don't know how much of that has hung on, but I think it's a great idea to kind of circle back with them, because we've had many more years of messaging, the problem's not getting any less, so yeah, maybe taking another run at that to have those conversations again. And so, we're hoping to also, try to get kids a little more involved. We have been working on this particular project for the last 2.5 years. The first couple years was more about getting some, collecting data and doing work kind of a little more one-on-one. And now we just got a grant extension, so we have about 2.5 more years left, and so trying to ramp up the kind of stuff we're doing.
Mayor Pro Tem, do you have anything you'd like to add? Maybe not? Okay. Guess not. All right, anything for this end?
I don't have anything.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for coming in tonight.
Doing a quick head count, I have water bottles for you. And if I get enough, I'll grab some and come back here.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are they BPA free?
Thank you.
They are affordable from my grant.
See, I have 1 gram of
Yes,
sugar.
they are BPA free, it
Okay.
says on the
Says
bottom,
it on the
Jen.
bottom? Okay.
I'm gonna run out.
And dishwasher safe.
And dishwasher safe, yeah.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of putting it on the bottom rung of the
I love it.
dishwasher, so don't do that. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
you.
Have a good night. Okay, next item on the agenda is resolution number 4, series 2026, a resolution of the Board of Trustees concerning findings of facts for the annexation of property owned by Casas Investments, LLC, located at 32958 River Frontage Road, Silt in Garfield County, known as the Heron's Nest annexation into the municipal boundaries of the town of Silt, Colorado. I'll turn this over to Nicole. Our applicants step up to the table.
Perfect. In November, the Board of Trustees approved substantial compliance for annexation for this application. We completed the 4 consecutive week public notice. Given that there was only 1 meeting in December, we actually exceeded that time frame, and they are being brought in front of the trustees tonight for the findings of fact, which is the next step in the annexation process. There is a lot in the application that is the same information. I did switch out the code requirements so that you had that next step in the process. Overall, staff finds that the application and proposal for annexation meet the requirements and the criteria. I did list the criteria within the staff findings as well as an outline of what the rest of the process roughly looks like with tentative dates that are subject to change. So they would do the outlining of terms for the annexation, which is something that we're going to be working on with them this upcoming week to develop the annexation and development agreement. The findings of fact would be tonight. In February, we will do a sketch plan and PUD at the Planning Commission as well as the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees will not look at the PUD at the February meeting, but rather the next meeting in March. And then hopefully towards the second meeting in March or first meeting in April, we'll have final annexation we'll have the ordinance for final annexation and PUD as well as the resolution for the development agreement. With that being said, we did have an update that I was not able to add it to this packet because I did not know what was going to happen yet, but Davis Fair, the planner for this project, and I went to the county commissioner meeting today, and we were able to get an approval for the waiver from Garfield County so that we can keep this moving forward and not have to jump through additional steps. So they did approve that. They will finalize their approval of the resolution, the adoption of the resolution next Monday. But we were able to confirm that. So that was good news for the applicant in the town that they were willing to grant that waiver because they also believe that the best scenario for this property is to be annexed back into the town. Staff does recommend approval for the resolution of findings of fact with 4 conditions of approval. One is that everything written or spoken verbally in the meeting is considered a condition of the approval. Number 2, that the applicant provides any additional requested documents and pay any fees. Number 3, that the applicant conforms with the town, state, and federal requirements for annexation, including what's outlined within the resolution for findings of fact. And then number 4, that the applicant updates necessary forms, which they were able to do. And then there is a recommended motion. It would be Resolution 4, Series 2026. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but I'm going to recommend that before we go into deep questions, there was a lot of questions that the trustees had at substantial compliance that I think we can answer, even though the timing is a little bit premature for the step that we're at. The applicant did develop a slideshow that he would like to give more information on and hopefully answer questions that you might have, and then we're all happy to answer any questions that you still have pending after that presentation.
All right. Anything for staff before we see the slideshow? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'm Davis Farrer, Western Slope Consulting. I'm the planner for the project, and I'm with Simone Casas. He was the owner of the property and has owned it for a number of years. As Nicole mentioned, we went to the commissioners today, and they did grant a waiver for the annexation impact report, but I would note that in the application, I did complete an annexation impact report, so all the information that they would have otherwise looked at is in front of you as well. I think Sheila is going to be, okay, great. So the project is Heron's Nest PUD. As you probably know, it was annexed into Silt a number of years ago, and I guess the property owner at the time decided after some negotiations with the town that he didn't want to be annexed anymore, so he disconnected. And we're back before you to request annexation, PUD zoning, and subdivision sketch plan for the property. So that's our team. I mentioned Simone, there's me, David McConaughey with Garfield and Hecht is our attorney. Nicole Garamoni Campagna is the water attorney for the project, and Dave Kotz, is the engineer, and I think you all know Dave. He's worked for the town for a long time. The property size is 27.5 acres approximately. We are subdividing the property, or proposing to subdivide it into 10 lots. They're not all buildable lots. A number of the parcels are a park site. There's a couple park sites that we've identified as separate parcels. We have a approximately half-acre commercial site with proposed uses there. There's a manufactured housing park with, we're proposing 98 manufactured housing units, and we're not totally sure at this point in time whether they'll be manufactured units or whether they'll be stick-built on site. We've laid out, and we'll get to the details of the project layout, but we've designed the lot so that there could be subdivision of those parcels in the future if the owner of the property decides they want to do that. Proposed uses are the workforce housing that I just mentioned. There's an existing RV park on the property. I need my glasses here. And we would like to propose to add 8 units to the existing RV park. One of the issues that we've had conversations with the town about in the past is length of stay. Right now in the county, the folks that live there are lower income and they live there year-round. And we would request a period of time. In the application, we've asked for 14 years to comply with Silt's length of stay regulations. Since we submitted our application, we've been a number of years in this process. We could probably knock that back a little bit, but that all ties back to Simone's amortization, his loan on the property. So we'd like consideration of that. I mentioned there's a half-acre future commercial property, and we're hoping that that could be developed at some point into a neighborhood commercial site to serve this project, thereby eliminating vehicle trips, but also serving the greater Silt community. Maybe we get a little grocery store or something in there. We propose to dedicate to the town a 3-acre site for a town park. That was something that we heard in our early discussions with both the trustees and the planning commission that was desired. So that'll be an active park. We have a smaller pheasant tail park down near the river, which is going to be a public park, but it's also intended to serve the needs of the residential neighborhood. And then along the river, we're proposing a fisherman's access easement that would go to the center of the river. And obviously high water, the access is a little higher. It's up on the bank. As the water drops, you can get down and wet your line, so to speak. There are 4 PUD zone districts. There's business commercial, there's the affordable housing district, RV park, and / multifamily district. And what we propose is at some point in the future, subject to town review, the RV park would transition to a multifamily housing project. Conceptually, we think there could be 100 units down there. We think they would be a great place to have apartments for folks right on the river. So we think, again, that would go through your design review process at some point in the future. And then we have a community park district, and that's why some of those lots out of the 10 lots we're proposing to create would be those park sites. Utilities and roads, silt, water, and sewer would serve the overall development, and I would make it clear here that the RV park would have a common tap with a master meter, and then the water for the RV park would be managed by the HOA or the property owner. It would not be the responsibility of the town. However, all the other property, the manufactured housing park, would be just like we would buy taps. We'd have individual services with meters and so on and so forth, and that would be part of the town system. And then the roads into the project, right now, River Frontage Road that is on the north side of the development that leads to your wastewater facilities is on an easement, and we would propose to dedicate that as a right-of-way to the town and improve it to town standards. And then there'll be a portion of the road that would go south along Yellow Sally Park, which is the 3-acre park we propose. And that road up to a hammerhead turnaround on the south end of the park would be dedicated to the town. Those streets would meet town requirements. The rest of the roads in the project would be private roads built to town standards, with the exception that right-of-way width would be slightly narrower than what your requirements are presently, but we would still have curb gutter sidewalk. There would be on-street parking. It's just the profile of the street would be a little narrower. Next slide. Where is Sheila operating this out of? She's hiding
She is
back
at
there.
an undisclosed location.
Thank you, Sheila. So this is the location of the site, which you've seen in your packet, and the surrounding uses. So we've got water wastewater facilities on the west. South is Silt open space. That's the stuff that was dedicated. I worked with Mike actually on that when Stillwater was a happening thing. There is some residential to the southeast. That's a single-family unit there, and that's in Garfield County, unincorporated. Then farther east is the existing RV park and tiny home project that you have. That's a PUD. There's some storage there in the northeast, an old car wash. I used to use it, but I think it went away, unfortunately. And then there's a little bit of a commercial there farther northeast. Next slide, please. This is surrounding zoning, so you can see that there's commercial PUD on the east, there's a little bit of B2 directly north, and then public utility surrounding it on the west and the south. Next slide. You have in your packet a copy of the annexation map. I stuck it in here just so you could see it again. We have 1/6 contiguity. We have a little more than that. So we meet all the criteria, as your staff has noted, for making the property eligible for annexation. Next slide. These are our PUD zone districts. So the triangular piece up on the top on the north is our commercial site. The purple is the manufactured housing park. The green are the public park areas. Yellow Sally Park is that 3-acre green rectangle on the west. Pheasant Tail Park. I'm not a fisherman. The guy who designed this is a fisherman, so hence all the terminology. Pheasant Tail Park is designed for project residents, but the public as well. Parking is a little limited down there, so it's a small park, and I don't think we're going to see soccer games, but people can have picnics and do whatever they want to do at that location. There is, on the far west, there's sort of a rectangular piece there. That is going to be a detention basin. Right now, it's kind of it is a detention basin, if you will. It's a bit of a wetlands area. And we were thinking it would be a great interpretive site with some signs explaining what wetlands are, how they work, why they're important to our environment and the community. So I think that's a pretty cool opportunity. Then on the south there, the yellowish color is where the RV park is, and at some point in the future, maybe multifamily housing. Next slide. And if you have questions as I'm going through here, just jump in. This is the layout. This is showing the manufactured housing park, which would be 98 units. There'd be phasing of development of those units. On the south there, you can see the existing RV park. We propose to add 8 new spaces and relocate some of the existing spaces to the west, near where that blue water looking thing is, to make the park more functional and more usable. Then you can see the river on the south and landscaped areas on the north, the south, and the easterly portion of the development. up in the upper left-hand corner, you can't really see it very well, but those are our lot layouts, and they're, over 4,000 square feet. So they provide enough space for a dwelling unit, storage building, 2 off-street parking spaces. We plant a tree on each one of those lots, or include a tree, and I think they work for a reasonable, affordable space for folks to live in. Next slide. This is our project phasing plan. It's a little bit hard to read that, but phase 1 would be the easterly portion of the manufactured housing park. And it would include the expansion of the RV park and reconfiguration of the RV park spaces. And it would also include dedication of the 3-acre Yellow Sally Park to the town along with that wetland site. Phase 2 is call it the central portion of the manufactured housing portion of the project. Phase 3 would be commercial. And really, we don't know what's going to happen on Phase 3. We will provide the site, and we'll hopefully find somebody who wants to develop that. And then Phase 4 would be future development of multifamily housing, again, subject to town review through the site plan review process. Next slide, please. This is the utility plan for the project. Town water and sewer serving the manufactured housing park on the north. And then, as I mentioned, there would be a common tap serving with a common meter, which would serve the RV park. And I suppose that what would happen in the future with multifamily housing is we would work through the town, and there would be individual services for that. But up until that point, the project would be responsible for the billing of the RV park services. I know, I think it was the last meeting, there was a question about the leach fields on the property. So we have a mechanical wastewater treatment system that pumps mostly treated, that's probably not the right phrase, but mostly treated effluent to the leach fields. The leach fields are kind of worn out. They need to be replaced, or what we would like to talk to, and we've had conversations with the town staff about this, would be connecting that upgraded effluent to the town's wastewater plant, and we would work that out rather than have Simone spend a whole bunch of money putting in new leach fields only to have them ripped out, in a year or so. There are 2 wells on the property, and we would propose to keep those 2 wells functional for irrigation purposes only. We would not have those connected to the town's water system to avoid any problems with cross-contamination. And we would work with your town staff. The idea there is also to minimize impacts on the town's water system. Next slide. Parks and open space, I've mentioned those a couple times. There you can see the fisherman's easement on the south along the river. Again, that would go all the way to the center line of the river, which is the property boundary. There would be open space areas within the RV park with little barbecue grills. That would be primarily for the residents of the RV park. Then on the west, you can see Yellow Sally Park, the wetlands area. There's another green space south of the manufactured housing units in that little triangular area. There's also Pheasant Tail Park down there in the southeast portion of the project. And then there's green space on the north end capping the manufactured housing parcels north-south, and on that easterly bump out on the edges of that as well. Next slide. Landscaping, concept landscape plan, we'd put trees, grass, and so on and so forth, and we would work with the town in terms of whatever improvements we're talking about on Yellow Sally Park, but in the past, there was some discussion about perhaps getting GOCO funds or other mechanisms to make those improvements. Next slide. And that's it. So thank you, and be happy to answer any questions or take comments. No doubt there will be some.
Yes, I guess I'll go. The new part, I don't have a problem with. I like the new part. I like what you have planned and everything. Where I take issue is the old park with the RVs and everything. And the reason why I say that is because, the sheriff's department gets called up there quite regularly. I don't necessarily know if we want to saddle the town's police department with that. There isn't any fire protection out there, so you mentioned there's going to be one tap for the trailer park, but you're going to have to put hydrants out there.
We would, if phase one would bring the major utilities in there, so there would be hydrants placed. I couldn't say exactly where, but as we get further into this, there would be good fire flow supply to that part of the project.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't allow the development if you didn't. But,
correct. Yeah.
And then code enforcement right now is going to be a nightmare for the town. So those are my concerns with this development.
Okay. So. Simone, do you have any comments on that?
No, not. We have fire. We have if I remember correctly, I think it's like 20,000 gallons concrete tank right next to the river for the fire department. And in regards to the, you just mentioned that the sheriff department gets calls quite often to the RV park. Yeah, lately, we have had 3 issues in the past 5 months, I think. Before that, I've not been aware of being so many issues. I mean, not that often. I mean, we still have issues like everywhere else, I think, but like once a year maybe.
Okay, yeah, I mean, those comments come from based on the previous police chief. He, had concerns about being able to, effectively police that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know if this is a Nicole question or our town attorney. Once this property would be annexed, so we don't collect property taxes on a RV at an RV park, would they be required to pay lodging taxes?
They don't pay lodging tax for any tenancy in excess of 30 days.
Okay.
RVs are considered titled vehicles, so we don't assess a property tax against it. I mean, there's like all of us who have vehicles, you pay state property tax for the vehicle. The land would be subject to the general property tax powers or assessments of the town.
Okay. And then, I guess we call this an RV park, but if you go over there, there's RVs with additions built on them.
Right.
I mean, that's
year round.
That's not an RV. That's a full-time residence, especially if we're looking at a 14-year time. That's in my mind, we're not talking an RV park. We're talking a mobile home park with a second mobile home park that's travel trailers, which we would not allow anywhere else in town for that situation to happen. Since we stay over 30 days, we no longer get our lodging tax, which is why we have limits on how long. So at this point in the discussion, as far as the finding of facts for annexation, I believe we've met the criteria of the findings of facts for the annexation. The next step, annexation development agreement, I think is where we're gonna have issues that have to be addressed. I'm going to be, looking to play fair with other people that have done similar projects within the town of Silt.
Okay.
I really don't like to nitpick and say, you can do this here, you can't do it here, you can do it here, you can't do it here. It's so much easier for the whole town if we say, this is the rule and everybody has to follow it. Do we have a timeline on when we would be connected to city sewer and water? Because that's kind of the whole push behind this project, at least in my opinion, is to remedy those situations and then work towards a development.
Water and sewer connections would be in the first phase of the project. First phase of the project, Simone's got to work on his financing. The process to date has taken a while for us to get here, but I would think that the water and sewer connections would be a year and a half, 2 years out.
Yeah, well, I was talking with Dave Katz, and he said if everything goes smooth, yeah, we'll be able to do it in April this year, but it'll be up to after we.
Okay.
Sooner rather than later,
Sooner
for
rather than
sure.
later. Yeah, that's the documents that we were given say 2 to 3 years for phase one, which is in municipality speak, we've watched other developments that we're going to be going in a year, and then we're now 6 years down
Right.
the road.
No, I get that.
Especially, I don't want to tie the future of Silt into a long-term plan. But as I stated, the findings of fact, all that, in the staff report, we've hit all the points to meet that criteria.
Yes, I do agree with that. But
I have a
yeah, the
question for
further along we
Nicole.
get, I'm gonna have a lot of questions and concerns.
They were talking about, okay, the one tap would go to there and then they would distribute it from there. Would they just get charged then one tap fee, or how would that work?
No, that's what we would have to determine. So everything that you guys are bringing up are really great points. And some of them are on our bullet point list that Mike circulated, that we're gonna be communicating with the applicant to develop the annexation and development agreement. But that is one of the points is, that we're gonna have to further discuss, is there's gonna be
How many people would be on that one? Like you said, there would be one and there would be distributed. How many people would be distributed off that one?
Yeah, the EQR would be, the tap fee would be assessed by EQR, and that's per unit that's over there. So there would be an equivalent that would be per unit, even though they may only meter out of one, they would be responsible for paying for each unit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I believe the KOA is like 3/4 of an EQR.
Yeah, they're
something like that.
0.6 times the
Oh,
70
okay.
units.
So that would be,
they would
that's what I
have-
was asking, that'd be
Yeah.
the same thing then, okay.
Yes, it would be the same thing.
That's 0.6 on the tiny homes, correct?
Correct.
Right. And I think we need to be, this is where we need to do some consulting with Michael Arian, but tiny homes, it's a small home. It produces the same amount of effluent and uses the same amount of resources. So I'm not.
True.
I'm not, I would quote you what our utility consultant would say, but then there would have to be a beep in there. But I think we need to be really cautious about saying what EQRs are going to be, because a unit is a unit, and it should be a one.
No, you're right. I mean,
That's what I was
it doesn't
getting at.
matter if
Just
tiny
trying-
home or mansion, 2 people are gonna use the same amount of water and
Correct.
sewer.
And could I just get a point of clarification, I think, from somebody on staff? So it was mentioned that the length of stay for silt requirement, and that ties back into the 14 years on the RV park. What is the current length of stay? Is that 30 days, I think I heard you mention?
So my understanding under state statute, you can charge lodging tax up to 30 days. After anything greater than 30 days, you are no longer allowed to charge a lodging tax. And so it's a permanent residence at that point.
Okay. Thank you.
Except we don't get taxed from it, like a permanent residence, because it's a vehicle and vehicles don't get charged property tax. I have a couple questions, Davis.
Okay.
So the plan that you're proposing, so there's that you went through and it showed some lot lines. That's really the only subdivision that will happen throughout the development of this project.
Correct.
So I guess with one asterisk, if you built townhomes down along the river, that would then come in for some form of future subdivision review.
Could be, yeah. If they were apartment buildings, let's call them that, townhomes, I'm not sure we're resolved in our own minds whether that would be condominiumized, whether it be rental units with a single owner, or maybe some combination thereof.
So for the modular home community, you would come through a site plan review process. You'll have the lot created, and then when you're ready to begin work on it, you'll come through a site plan review process to work through the specifics of developing that lot.
Right.
Great. Do you anticipate you would do, design review process for the mobile home park? Like once it's platted as a separate lot, would you then follow that up with a design review application?
I'm not sure what the regs say. We would follow whatever your code spells out. Is that your question?
Well, I guess it's more of a lot of what's there is there. But if you're proposing to make additions or changes to what's there, I think we would expect you would at that time come through a design review process.
And you're referring to the RV park?
To the RV
okay,
park, yeah.
I was confused. All right. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you would like us to do, we would lay that out for you.
Okay. So I just want the board to be clear, and again, this does really spring ahead of the intent of what we're here for today, which is the question of annexation. But you saw some graphics up there that showed smaller well, they looked like smaller lots where manufactured housing would go. Those won't actually be subdivided. It will be one large parcel, similar to River Run, where the owner will then have kind of a lease situation for a portion of that larger parcel where they can site a manufactured house on it.
So I got a question. I don't know who it's for or what. Existing RV park, I agree, there's some stuff. If this got annexed in, would the town take control then of how, if one moves out, would we have control who can move back in or how long or whatever? I mean, I don't know is there any, I guess, who would take control of that? Would they still have that, or?
They're asking for a 14-year period in which they can continue to operate the park without any restrictions other than zoning by the town.
I guess what I was asking though is who has control? If we have to, can we make them put in new then, or can anything go? I mean, that's what I'm getting at is age-wise, can anything go back in again if one moves out, or?
Yeah, I would love it if it was just something that's grandfathered in, gets that
Well,
kind of.
that's what I was
grace.
asking. I didn't know.
Sorry to interrupt, but I mean, that's what I thought too, like.
I mean, that would be operated as an RV park, so we're not grandfathering anything in. If someone wanted to pull another camper in there, and we're letting them do that for 14 years.
Oh, that's what, okay.
It's a time frame.
It's a time frame, yeah, so.
And
And whether that's a 30-day stay or whether that's a 14-year stay,
Correct.
that would be a discussion during the
next
annexation development
phase.
agreement.
Yeah.
The next phase of what we would.
That's what I'm getting, yeah, I mean,
The applicant is proposing to add 8 or 9
Eight spaces.
additional
8
spaces to what's down there. And
And so I think what's there would be grandfathered until it left. I think, we have for the RV park at Camp Colorado, we have some performance standards that apply to the zoning for that park that don't allow things like skirting, propane tanks, that are intended to make it really a RV park as opposed to a mobile home park, which is something that RV parks can become. And so, I think that would need to be part of the discussion about whether some specific performance standards would be required here and when they would take effect, Would you amortize RVs that are in place for a period of time and then at some point they all had to come into compliance, or if it's there, is it grandfathered in until such time as they move or the building falls down or whatever it is, and then the new performance standards come in? I think those are discussions that we need to have. And it gets a little bit at, Mr. Cassis can talk a little bit about his vision, what do you see, how do you envision the RV park 3, 4, 5 years down the road? And, is that consistent with what the board is willing to do? And, how do we get to some kind of shared arrangement around the RV park situation?
But that's the next step.
That would be part of the next step, yeah. And as Nicole mentioned, we've worked as a staff to develop kind of some discussion points for the annexation and development agreement. We can add some points about zoning issues that we need to have a dialogue around. And so our next step is then to initiate that process with the applicant while the annexation timelines continue to kind of tick around. We will begin in more earnest the substantive review of the sketch plan application that has been submitted together with the annexation. That will also be returning to you for your review. Sketch plan being a more kind of description of how the development will look and what components it has. So you'll be seeing, I would say in February, we have on our internal timeline that the sketch plan at least makes it as far as P&Z. Maybe it gets its way up here. And then we have tentatively scheduled in March if the review continues apace and if we're able to, between staff and the applicant, reach common positions for the annexation development agreement. The goal would be to return to you for review of the sketch plan and a discussion around the annexation agreement in early March.
Okay. At some point before then, can we get the factual data from the sheriff's department?
If that's something you want your staff to collect.
Okay. I think, because we have had that concern brought to us. So I think it's a good data to have that actual, not just someone's opinion on
Exactly.
whether,
yes.
I mean, if they think going there once a week is excessive, so the actual.
Yes.
Data-driven.
Yeah.
And I have just something that I'd like clarification on, because it says the applicant's requesting 14-year provision to permit year-round occupancy of the RV spaces, after which time the RV park at the owner's option may transition to multifamily housing. So are you proposing this could be RV park perpetually?
It could be RV park, and what we're saying is really the 14-year amortization time frame is on the issue of length of stay. So at the end of 14 years, we would conform to Silt's 30-day RV park standard, or perhaps at that time, Mr. Casas may say, hey, let's just get rid of the RV park and let's put in the multifamily housing. I would note that, the folks that live there, they're families. They're families that work in Garfield County. They're lower income folks. And, we don't want that to be a burden to the town of Silt, for sure. And I know I've had those conversations with Mr. Casas. And the question was asked in the past, if the RV park goes away, where do those people get just thrown out on the street? Well, no. I mean, we would hope that they would move into the manufactured housing portion of the project. Or, yeah, there are families and folks that live there. And for better or for worse, they live there long-term.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
guess-
I'm not saying kick anybody out. I'm just saying they're so condensed in there. If one trailer lights fire, they're all going to go. Then they're all out of the home. So I'd like to get it cleaned up and sorted out so that never happens.
Okay?
And that got to my, is part of the question I had about a site plan review process. Once the property's subdivided, that there would be some agreement that you'd go through a site plan review process within a period of time to make it more of a conforming RV park under more modern standards.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my only thought about that was that if someone's been living there for years or whatever, 30 days to get out is totally not reasonable, and so that makes sense. But then if someone just moves in next month, do they have the opportunities to stay for 14 years? That doesn't appeal to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I think
sure.
that I like the concept of softening that blow for people who are residing there, but then bringing things into
Okay.
compliance, if and when you can,
Okay.
with as many lots as you could, right?
Yeah.
And I would say, I think there's a lot of good aspects of this application, right? Some of the housing that you're looking to bring online, the parks and open space. I do think with the RV component, understanding the phasing is just where I'm sitting. And, right, if the RV's phase 4 and you guys are working through, well, that is a big question mark when you're going to get to phase 4. So I do understand, I guess, why the 14 years was approached, but I think hearing this discussion, that feels like one of the sticking points where if we can come to a better approach, a better number, just that all feels good, I think that's going to be something that for me is going to help me want to move this along. And I understand where we're at in this stage, those aren't things that are going to be ironed out. But as we move ahead, that's definitely something to understand better of the phasing component and then the time frame with the RV. I think as those two really come together and feel like there's a good laid out plan, that's going to be something I can get behind and support.
Okay. And these comments are really helpful for us because we'll be sitting down with your attorney and staff and negotiating those details. And I think they probably have a pretty good sense of where you all are coming from, but it doesn't make sense to draft a document and then it's a surprise to the decision makers.
How many homes are occupied there right now?
76.
There's 76 over
Yeah,
there?
76. And back to the, you just mentioned, is one of the main things that is going to say when we're going to move to phase 4 is I've been talking to the banks, and the banks will like to see financial wise like to see full occupancy of the new mobile home park. And once it's completely built, then we will have a certain amount of revenues enough to start moving to phase 4. If we don't get a full capacity of the 98 units that we plan to have, that's going to definitely delay the process. So the sooner we get to solve the 98 units and have it occupy 100%, we planning to move right next to phase 4 pretty soon. And but that'll be like I said. I mean, that's the reason why we asking for 14 years, because we don't know when we can have what the bank is asking for to move to phase 4.
Well, it sounds like what you're saying. I mean, obviously, I don't think for you to maximize the money on this property, keeping that area as just RVs for 14 years isn't how you're going to do it. You would much rather build out, get those filled, and then do something different, upgrade that to make more money. So the goal isn't to keep it an RV park as long as possible. It doesn't sound like, but you want to have that contingency in place in case, because you don't want to run into, oh, I have to kick all these people, or we have to change this, but we're not there yet. We're not ready yet. So you want to have that time built in. Right. I think it just comes to a negotiation and an agreement of how long we're comfortable giving that maximum amount versus, and then, but allowing you to be able to do what you need to do so you can get to that area quicker. Would be my understanding of it. And I think this is important that we talk about this now, because again, you're not bringing stuff to us that we go, there's no way in heck, and you're not wasting your time and then wasting our time. It makes it a much smoother process in the long run.
Correct. Ultimately, we hope we're pretty much 90% or 100% on the same page.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add some comments briefly. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree with a lot of the reservations that other members of the board have mentioned. I think 14 years is way too long. I have some concerns about the town being stuck with the burden of displacement of the current residents. I think the applicant should bear those costs or mitigate those disruptions to those lives. If you're building affordable housing, for example, they should be front of the line to get that. I mean, at the end of the day, the primary initial purpose of this is to get you connected to the town's infrastructure, because it's fallen into significant disrepair to the point of failure. And I think annexing into the town is going to save you a great deal of money in order to triage that initial problem. And because of that, I think you should bear more of the responsibility that comes after that, to make sure that those residents aren't displaced, to make sure that the town can accumulate enough revenue to support the emergency services that are going to need to be deployed to this new development. I think the next couple of conversations are going to be difficult, but I think they need to happen.
Okay.
Since I wish Joe was here for our public works director, but if you're already pumping the sewage pre-treated out to the leach field, there's already a pump system in place.
Correct.
Could we not immediately pump it to the town sewer instead of to the leach field?
In theory, yes, you could, but we need to, there's a few questions that need to be answered in between. How many EQRs, what's the timing? But yes, in theory, you could.
Okay, because my concern, maybe, I don't want to speak for Derek, maybe Derek's concern is that happening, getting them hooked on city water, city sewer, before anything else in that area moves forward.
That's exactly right. That we're going to solve the problem for the applicant, and then phases 1, 2, 3, 4 turn into someday maybe. Maybe 1 and 2 get done.
In some of our conversations, as we've, from a staff perspective, talked this through, and working with the applicants, the immediacy of addressing the problem is real. And I think and none of this is written down in paper yet, but what we talked about is that if they did connect and then somehow the annexation didn't occur or the development didn't occur, well, if the annexation didn't occur, then they would be subject to the out-of-town tap rule in terms of paying the extra. It's beyond that, if the annexation occurs, then it's a matter of putting enough teeth into an agreement that the development is actually going to move forward.
Okay.
But, as you have experienced, writing down stipulations can always be interpreted and is difficult.
Well, we're hoping it can be clear and straightforward. And
I would
know.
hope so too.
Well,
Yeah.
yes.
That would be our goal, for
That's the
sure.
goal, yes. Okay.
Okay.
This is a public hearing, so I don't know if we have anything else we'd like to discuss. If you guys want to stay here while we pop open the public hearing, then we'll come back and move
Absolutely.
from there. Okay. The time is 8:40 p.m. and I will open up the public hearing for resolution number 4, series 2026. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, sir.
Okay.
I do not show any raised hands, Mr. Mayor.
All right. And would anyone in the public like to speak to this agenda item? Oh, okay. The time is 8:41 p.m. and I will close the public hearing and open up to further discussion by the board or a motion. And just a reminder that the motion on this is that we are, whether or not we are meeting the requirements for findings of fact for annexation, not the annexation agreement development agreement. While we did have a great discussion on it to hopefully move forward, that's not what we're actually voting on at this time, so.
Well, I will move to approve Resolution 4, Series 2026 for the finding of facts of annexation for Section 9, Township 6, Range 92, Lot 3, Seavers amended exemption, also known as Heron's Nest, with the conditions noted above or verbally added during this meeting.
Second.
All right. Motion by trustee Engelhardt to approve resolution number 4, series 2026. Seconded by trustee Britnall. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, appreciate
you
it.
guys
And
very
we,
much.
as you noted, there's work to do and under the annexation development agreement, and so we will be spending time with your crew.
All right. Sounds
Looking
good.
forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, thank you, gentlemen.
yep, thank you very much.
Okay. Next up is the second reading of ordinance number 14, series 25. An ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, approving the sale of a portion of the Rising Sun ditch water rights to Joel and Hortensia Ruiz in exchange for shares in the Lotion Cran ditch. This is a public hearing, but I'll turn it over to Attorney Sawyer.
So just the quick rundown, you heard more about this, the first reading of the ordinance, but Silt River Preserve, other side of the river, in between the river preserve and the county road, there is a lot that's owned by the Ruizes. The boundary between the Ruizes property and the Silt Preserve is a ditch called the Rising Sun Ditch. When the Ruizes purchased their property, they acquired an interest in a ditch called the Lotion Cran Ditch, which is located kind of inside of the Silt River Preserve. They also have an easement to put a pump in the Lotion Cran Ditch to take the water through the river preserve to their property. The town owns water rights in the Rising Sun Ditch, which is right on their boundary. And it just seemed logical that we would trade a little bit of our Rising Sun Ditch water rights for their Lotion Cran Ditch water rights, and they would extinguish the easement that runs across the river preserve, and they could put the pump in the Rising Sun Ditch and not have to cross the town property. We referred this to the town's water engineer, Michael Arian, to make sure that the values between Lotion Cran shares and Rising Sun Ditch water rights matched up. And that's in the one of the attachments, or the deeds or the attachments to the ordinance. This is done by ordinance under your charter. Anytime you convey an interest in your water rights, it needs to be done by ordinance. So that's why it's the heightened formality that we're done here. there was a lady here who I think might have been associated with the Ruizes, but she
Just left.
she just left.
That was my wife.
Oh, that was your wife.
Oh, that was your wife.
Yeah,
Oh,
disease,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad she got to
She
experience.
hung in longer than I
She
would have
did, yeah.
expected.
Okay. Because this has been a scintillating meeting, so that's good. So I guess we don't have anybody from the applicant, but I think from staff's perspective, this makes a lot of sense. Cleans up the Silt River Preserve a little bit, and we can, if you approve this, we'll move forward with getting the deeds and the assignments executed, and this all taken care of in the next little bit. Happy to answer any questions.
I don't have anything.
No?
Just seems like it makes a lot of sense, which with government kind of is anti what we normally do. So it's nice to have something follow what you think it should do.
Is there any concern about the seniority of the shares in the ditches?
They're pretty similar. The Lotion Cran ditch, I think, is actually like the number 20 water right on the Colorado. I don't know. It's got some insanely senior water right. The Rising Sun ditch is not that far behind it. The major point being both ditches receive essentially their full entitlement each summer. So we're not switching a good water right for a bad water right.
Okay. All right. Mayor Pro Tem, anything you'd like to ask?
No, actually, you just asked what was going to be my only question.
All right. Okay. Again, this is a public hearing. If there's no more discussion, I will do that. Okay. Time is 8:46 p.m. and I'll open up the public hearing for ordinance number 14, series 2025. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, sir. No raised hands, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And we have nobody in the chambers with us. So the time is still 8:46 p.m. and I will close the public hearing and open up to further discussion by the board or a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 14, series 2025 as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Seifert to approve the second reading of ordinance number 14, series 2025, seconded by trustee Clausen. All's in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. We'll follow up on that here over the next little bit.
Okay. They're all going to be empty this summer, so it doesn't really matter.
It's a bad water year.
Who knows? It may turn around.
Let's hope.
Fingers crossed, yes. Next up is the senior housing discussion.
Okay, I alluded to this, I think back in December, but we have been notified by the Garfield County Housing Authority that at the end of January in 2027, the project-based voucher program for Silt senior housing will cease to be in place. It has already been extended. There is no future extension. We cannot have project-based vouchers any longer. What that means is that people can take a voucher that they have for affordable housing and they can go wherever they choose. What that also means is that because it's no longer a project-based voucher, that Garfield County Housing Authority will no longer do the property management as they have done for us for the past 40 years. That means that it would fall to the town to do the periodic inspections, the pre-move-in, the post-move-out, the keeping of a list of people that are going to move in, the vetting of people that are moving in, the managing of leases, etc. So we would be taking on a rather significant role. The reason that this is an important discussion point right now is if you remember this past fall, we applied for, jointly with Garfield County Housing Authority,
a federal mineral lease district grant to start the remodeling or do the remodeling of all the units. We were awarded that grant that would cover about a 50% of the remodel, and we had anticipated filing another grant jointly with Garfield County Housing Authority this spring to finish up the remodeling. We have not started at this point. The agreement with FMLD, when you take their grant monies, is that we are going to keep that asset and continue to operate it for 25 years. So we have an inflection point or a decision point, and I see that there are generally 3 different options that the town has. We can continue. We can take on the full role of operating the facility, basically status quo. We start doing everything Garfield County was doing it, and we're agreeing to keep operating the facility for the next 25 years because we'll go through the remodel process. The second option is basically business as usual, except that we're going to hire a property management firm to do all those activities that Garfield County Housing Authority was doing, and again, continue with the remodeling, committing that we're going to hold on to the project for 25 years. The third option is that we start the process to dispose of the property and seek somebody to buy it, and cease operation of Silt Senior Housing as a town enterprise. I think it's important to start this discussion. We have not committed to do any of the remodeling at this point until, from a policy perspective, the board says, hey, we're going to keep Silt Senior Housing. We'll figure out the details later, but then we'll go ahead and start doing the remodeling. If the decision is that, hey, we don't want to be involved in being a landlord and having tenants, then we're looking at disposing of the property and seeing if somebody would buy it. I did a cursory valuation of the property based upon the revenue stream and the expenditures. On an income basis, it's not worth much. I came up with $100,000.
So the money for the remodel is to only remodel for the 20 units, correct?
No. The funds that we received would cover about a 50% remodel, and we would have to do another 50% remodel.
Okay, but then there's 4 currently vacant.
There's 4.
Okay.
There are 3 vacant right now. We need 4 units vacant to do a remodel because of the way they're stacked and the way the infrastructure is within the units. We have to do 4 at a time.
Okay, that's where I got the 4 from.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question. So these people, in theory, will still be receiving Section 8 vouchers, right?
Correct.
So then, do we have any residences throughout Silt? Maybe not all in one building, but like an apartment here and a mobile home there where we could utilize those or honor those Section 8 vouchers?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And for the example or the options that you gave, if Silt were to take over the management, would that come with an FTE increase? And do you have an idea of the number of FTEs? And then for option 2, what would be the property management cost? And I guess for the first question, really not so much as the FTE, but the staffing cost versus the property management cost. Do you have any ideas of what that would look like?
My guess, we had some basic discussions on that. My guess is that they're going to be fairly comparable.
Okay.
We generally think we can absorb the vast majority of the day-to-day operations with our current staffing. We would obviously have to put in place our rules and regulations related to how we're leasing up and dealing with people. And that's the part that is a little daunting for us. None of us are property managers. And this would be something new for us to take on. In terms of your second question, right now, we pay Garfield County 15% of the funds that are received as their management fee. I have not reached out to any management companies to see what they would charge. If that's a direction that you'd like me to do, we certainly could reach out to even see if somebody would be willing to do the management.
You need to, so a concern I have, whether it's the town or whether it's a management company managing this, is senior housing, government-funded housing has a bunch of additional legal requirements. It's not leasing the ADU you have back behind your house. There are formalities and rules and things you've just got to be very prepared and to deal with and do it on a repeat basis. And so if the town's going to do it, we would need to develop that competency, or if we're going to find a private contractor to do it, we need to find one that specializes in managing these types of projects.
I like options 2 and 3.
I don't know.
I don't think the town wants to manage a property of that extensive of time that it's going to take to do that.
No, that could turn into a full-time job for someone.
If we're
But if we're already paying someone else, we're already paying that fee to someone else, why not give that money to somebody that's a full-time employee of the town?
15% of what it brings in is not a salary for a full-time employee.
True.
Yeah, I mean,
There are other aspects to the loss of the project-based voucher that the town would be open up to. No longer are we limited in terms of the rents that we can charge. We can set a market-based rent if we so chose. There are other aspects of, I'm not sure how the full interaction of the voucher that is portable would work with us setting a different rent. I think what that means is that the tenant would have a higher rental cost, and the Fed is only going to, the HUD is only going to give a voucher for so many dollars. So there's a lot, and to Attorney Sawyer's point, there's a lot we don't know, and there's a lot of rules that go along with, I don't know if Section 8 housing is the right terminology for this property, but affordable housing projects.
So, okay, so I'm curious if this is even like something I should be thinking about. So, if, I'm just wondering if we could absorb some of that with other housing that we have, if we end up losing the senior center. If that, like, would all of those people, so the voucher, like, can we partner with local property manager or, and say, like, honor these vouchers and set it up that way?
Yeah,
In theory, yes.
I'm just trying to think out, because this is a very 25 years, and it just seems very all or nothing, versus like if we could, find suitable living situations in the community for people, like on that more of a piecemeal type of a thing. I'm not saying that's a better idea than any of these other options. I was just thinking if that's maybe something to think about.
When you receive a voucher, you can take that voucher to any unit that
accepts it,
qualifies or accepts that voucher.
But landlords here don't
I
have
guess
to.
To that point, I don't know that that's the town's responsibility.
Right.
To figure out where that's going to.
It might
I don't
be
like the
easier than a whole
concept of
building.
displacing 20 units. But I also, from a staff perspective, don't like becoming a landlord.
Right.
No. Well, and a concern too is that doing the remodel and then committing to run every 25 years, the remodel isn't going to just magically make it not have issues for the next 25 years.
Correct.
there'll be additional substantial monies at other times in 5, 10, 15 years that would come up as well. So that makes
Yeah.
hanging on to it difficult.
I'm wondering if it's worth talking to Rifle. I think they have a senior housing project. I mean, another option would be forming an authority. You know, you just do it with an agreement between another city to where you have kind of a critical mass to where it's like, oh, we actually would make sense to hire a full-time person who knew what they were doing. And I know Newcastle has one. It's pretty new, although maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe it just, you know.
The age of this is what it's aging out of. And I have a feeling it's aging out because of it's just old.
The cost to, rehabilitate it.
The
yeah.
cost of rehabilitation is not easy.
So your calculation of the facility value of 100,000, is that a 100,000 a year in income, or the property as it sits would be listed by a real estate agent for 100,000?
Well, it would be valued at $100,000. Because it's subsidized housing, there's a different valuation that goes into it from somebody who does, subsidized housing. When you look at a residential property, the valuation is revenues less expenses equals a dollar amount. That dollar amount is then divided by what they call a cap rate. On a normal project, that cap rate is usually somewhere in the 5 to 7% range. For affordable housing developments, it's the 7 to 8% range. I generously used the 8% range, and I came up with $88,000.
If it
Now-
was sold, does it have to remain?
Does not.
100,000, I'll buy.
So it doesn't even have to remain, it doesn't have to remain senior housing
It
if
does
the
not.
town continued to, we could be a landlord of free market
We could.
units.
We could, when it comes to the disposition of the existing Silt senior housing property, the town could choose to continue to operate it and make it a market-based apartment. You could sell it to somebody with the intention that they would keep it some sort of subsidized housing. Or you could sell it that they can do whatever they want with it.
But we could keep it, make it market rate housing, but still accept the vouchers. And then the tenant would be responsible for making up the difference. And
That is my understanding.
And then it would still be just free market rentals.
Correct.
But we'd be accepting that, so then we might not have all the stipulations of being voucher housing, or maybe some of the units, if we kept half that we accepted vouchers in, or?
I think you'd probably want to keep some that you would keep on that. The town gets no tax benefit.
Yeah.
The whole notion of the housing is that private industry does this housing, they get a tax benefit.
Yeah. I think unfortunately it's going to be best to try and dispose of that property for the town's interest. I mean, as far as image of the town interest, displacing seniors, no. As far as we are here to be stewards of taxpayers' dollars, then I think disposing of the property is the best option.
I don't see it just as a perception issue. I think part of the tax dollars are supposed to go to more vulnerable citizens. So, but I agree that it might not be, that doesn't mean we should waste money, right? So like, if it's a building that's falling apart, I guess that's why I'm trying to think of honoring vouchers at other properties where the free market is still doing its work of,
One of the things with using the vouchers for other properties, some people may work, but, because I was thinking, well, what if we were to offer a new development that's putting in some modular homes, they're having some affordable housing, some kind of incentive to take some of these but the problem with that is a lot of these individuals aren't extremely mobile. And so then for them, especially without the pedestrian bridge yet and all those other things, getting from over there to facilities to do things wouldn't work for these individuals.
I agree. I think the location of that type of housing is so critical for the vulnerable community that it's serving. I also agree that I don't think the town taking on that really makes sense, especially when you look at, the cost of bringing on some staff versus property manager. I think Chris mentioned earlier, the 2 or 3 option are kind of the ones that I'm grappling with myself of, what would it look like to bring on a company to manage? I think some of the points you bring up around, could we bring it to market rates or offer rentals at market rates, but still also offer senior housing at a discounted rate? That feels like a way that you can make up some income with those that want to live in a centralized location right there, but still, honoring the senior housing that it's providing. Now, is it going to get to, a revenue generator? Probably not, but it's going to help offset some of the costs. And I think the other thing, given that there is a grant to do some of the remodel and potentially another one down the road, that feels like great opportunity to keep that asset within the community, serving those populations that it's serving. So it's very conflicting. I think those two are right where I'm sitting, personally, and not sure that I have a good answer or direction either way. I think those are the two that I'm really grappling with at the moment.
There is no action required of the board.
Okay.
This
And since you mentioned this in December, I've been dreading this conversation.
This is,
so-
we've got to put this on the table because from staff perspective, we can't move forward with the remodeling project unless there's a policy decision to say we're going to keep this going. Because we can't do the remodel and then a year from now or 2 years from now when we find out that managing the property is a problem, unless we're paying back Garfield County Federal Mineral Lease District the money that they granted us, we've committed to operate this facility for 25 years.
And we wouldn't get those funds from selling the property to be able to just repay it, most likely.
And I doubt that we would get the funds for.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is we've identified $750,000 of improvements that need to be done
Easily, yeah.
in that facility. Luckily, we were able to receive a rather significant grant. I'm trying to remember the exact dollar amount. I think it was I think we got half of that 750 to kind of move forward with the project.
I mean, I'd like to build a new one somewhere else and just sell that thing. But that's way easier said than done.
But I do think the point about potentially reaching out to Rifle or Newcastle and seeing what partnerships or just exploring that, at this point, if there's no decision, but we're still in the preliminary stages, that feels like another good opportunity to see if we can maintain this asset. But again, if it comes back and the dollars don't make sense and this just isn't best for the taxpayer, I think that is a hard decision, but a decision that would need to be made. But I would like to explore all possible opportunities to try and maintain that in whatever form or fashion that could take.
We can certainly reach out to Rifle and Newcastle and see, they may not have the same problem that we have right now. We have this problem because our facility is falling off the project-specific voucher program.
Getting ideas
Why
of
is
what
it,
they're
is
doing
it
and
just aging out?
exploring potential partnerships kind of thing.
Sure, it's aging out.
And like Rifles, they're more individual unit places versus one giant building, so their maintenance issues are different.
But if the remodel does happen, does it still mean the facility's aged out, or does that?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no chance to ever, even with improvements.
As of I think it's February 1, 2027, Garfield County will cease doing what they do for us right now. because it will no longer be under the project-based voucher program.
So we got a year
We got,
to figure it out.
we got 3 months.
We got a year to figure it out, but we have to figure it out before we start the remodel.
We have a
Right
year
now,
to
we're
implement
sitting,
it.
we've been sitting with 3 vacant units for 5 or 6 months now.
That's true, and we're not.
Because we were getting ready to do this remodel.
And you want to fill them and then have to displace people to do the remodel.
Yes.
So for the next several years, we're always going to have those units vacant
We-
while we're
We anticipate that we will be able to do the complete remodel in about a year's time.
Oh, okay.
It will not take an extensive period of time.
'Cause once
It's
you get
basically, it's
4 done,
basically
you move 4
5
people.
phases of remodel for it. At a time, there are 20 units. And basically the thought is that it's about a 60-day time frame to do the remodel of 4 units. So, all right, take that to 90 days and you're looking at about a year's time.
And there's contractors be doing most of the work?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no way to get this remodel money without committing to 25 years
Correct.
of managerial duties.
Not
Not from
not from Garfield County Mineral Lease.
Right. And who else has
And
that?
and they're and to the federal mineral lease districts, credit, they're ensuring that the dollars that they're handing out get used for,
Absolutely.
longevity community projects.
Yeah, they don't want us doing it, remodeling it, and then flipping it and
Correct.
on their dollar. 'Cause that's not fair. That's not what those dollars are designed for.
Yeah, I understand that.
I'd like to see the town staff try and prioritize that outreach to Rifle. I don't think we can piecemeal this group of residents out because they literally, as well as figuratively, are a community. The fact that they live together is something that appeals to them. Their proximity to Main Street, to the library, to Town Hall, those are all key assets, other than having a roof over their head. I think the issue of charging them something closer to market rate is going to be a significant challenge for the majority of them because they're on fixed incomes. And I will reference the last item on the agenda. When a developer came to us and was talking about RVs, we had a concern about displacement. I think this is a more substantial issue of displacing this population. So I would like to strongly lean into option 2 if possible.
Great points. Yeah.
All right, we'll continue getting some information, see what we can come up with.
I guess the other thing, if it was to go to private sale, or have you had preliminary discussions with community partners or organizations that would even see if they're interested, right? Somebody like Habitat or some foundation that could still achieve the mission without more of a private sector mindset?
We have not had any of those conversations because this was a policy discussion first.
What year was that built?
82, I think.
I think you're right.
Let's say this building was 82, that building
Yeah.
was like 83.
Then it was 83.
like
They're
really
1 year
close
apart.
They were
Yeah,
real close
early,
together,
yeah.
yes. It was oil shale trust
Yep.
fund money that built both of these.
Rifle Housing Authority might be in the same situation. Theirs was 1979
Yeah.
when it was built, and they're also HUD rental assistance in Section 8. So they could be having the same discussions, same issues, so.
So I guess what's the difference? Because according to the Garfield County letter, it said Garfield County Housing will issue housing choice Section 8 vouchers to all residents that live at the property when the project-based voucher expires.
That means that all the residents can pick up and go wherever a housing unit is available. They're not tied to using that voucher at Silt Senior Housing.
Got you. Okay.
Right now, if they receive a voucher, they're receiving a voucher for that property.
Oh, okay, specifically.
Specifically.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's why I was asking, do we have any other places we
Yeah.
can give them? But then I hear the points about, they are a community, they need to all be sort of close to downtown, or, so.
And I'm sure you said that, but anyway. I just didn't hear it.
All right. Well, this will be on next agenda as well. We'll report back what we can find out.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mr. Mayor, with your consent, I think we're going to bow out. The remaining items do not have much of a legal nature to them.
They do not, so you guys
Have a
would like
great
to
evening.
leave?
Unless you want to give a legal report under staff reports.
I think I have.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night. At least she has a shorter commute than you do.
She does.
Yes, thank you both, and nice to meet you.
Do what?
I said nice to meet you, and thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get your water bottles.
Yes. All right, then next up is resolution number 5, series 2026, a resolution of the Board of Trustees assigning members to various committees for fiscal year 2026. Just an action item here, and I'll turn it over to Manager Man.
Since I've been here, we've had kind of this loosey-goosey, appointment to committees, appointment to boards, et cetera, where it's kind of like a volunteer and then somebody's on it, and it's always a question of who's serving on what. And Sheila probably is tired of me going, now who serves on that committee? Or who's the responsible party on that board? So I suggested that we adopt a resolution that basically, does an annual appointment of all these boards, commissions, and groups that are out there. And so the resolution, which is attached to my agenda item summary, tries to list out all the various groups that members of the board sit on, all the committees that have been established here in town, and who is who, basically. There are a few vacancies out there that would be beneficial to fill, but my suggestion is that you do this on an annual basis. And while I filled out names, I take no ownership of the volunteerism that maybe I volunteered you for and you didn't realize it. But somewhere along the line, all of you said that you would do these certain things. It's a little bit more important this time because we have Trustee Sanchez, who this is his first meeting, and he can't fill every vacancy that's out there.
I was going to nominate him for everyone that says vacant.
Yeah, just do a search and replace. Change vacant to Alex. Done.
Done.
So with that, I'll turn it over to you guys to.
I would love to be the chamber alternate, the Colorado River Valley Chamber alternate.
So moved. It's yours. Anybody else?
Second.
If anybody wants to volunteer for any of them, I'm sure that those will be taken
Yeah.
first.
The other thing I was going to ask about is the AGNC legislative calls. Is Derek going to be calling in for those on Thursday mornings?
Derek will not be doing that.
I could do the legislative calls.
That would be great. The AGNC is a challenge because of the volume and frequency of communications and meetings, and some of them I'm supposed to go to and others I'm not. I feel like as many times as I've showed up to the right meeting, I've showed up to the wrong meeting.
Yeah,
So
I looked
a
on the
little
website.
hectic.
It was weird. I didn't have an easy time finding some of the information, so.
Yeah, and for most of the members, it is their full-time job. So it's just, they just view it through a different lens than we do.
Well, that's another thing that I was gonna volunteer for or whatever. They start up in January. Was so.
You're gonna get sick of me, Kim.
I mean, I'll do that part of it. No, I mean, if whatever makes it more manageable, I guess. That sounded kind of interesting.
We'll add that to the list.
Okay, perfect. And that way AGNC isn't all on Derek.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
I also want to mention quickly that I'm listed on 2 committees and I haven't received confirmation from either. Highwater Farms and Youth Zone. I know, Jim, you sent an email out to Youth Zone's executive director back in December, and I sent a follow-up, oh God, maybe a week or 2 later, and have not gotten a reply to either of those, and have not heard a single word from Highwater Farms.
I
So
have.
my name's there, but they're TBD.
Yeah, I have a call that I owe Becca Gourlay. I'll bring that up with her.
Thank you.
Well, I will say, I think the Club 20 policy, I do have a policy background. Now, while I'm not volunteering for all 5 of those, I think it would be great if this board could identify maybe 1 or 2 areas of most important. I am looking at things like public land and natural resource, potentially business affair, or even education, as some areas that I think could be very valuable for our area. But I think 3 is probably a little too much, at least while I'm getting my feet underneath me. But thinking at least 2 could be something. And then the other one that I would throw out is the website. I see that's a newer one. I do website, local government work in my professional job. So could be one that, depending on when the meetings are, could also just help bring some feedback of what works and what doesn't in my area. So those would be 2 that I would throw out, potentially being interested in.
Which of the Club 20, I mean.
I'll take
What is that
education.
Club 20, by the way?
I'll take
I
education.
don't know that I had even.
Club 20 is the lobbying group for the 20 counties on the west side of the Continental Divide. Club 20 used to run the state. If Club 20 didn't say vote for it, it didn't happen. With the growth in the population on the Front Range, Club 20's lobbying power has diminished a little bit, but basically right now, the western slope has been, I don't want to say forsaken, but our voices are muted, and so a group like Club 20 needs to be reinvigorated, and there are certain things that it should just be a flat out, everyone on the west side of the Continental Divide votes no. And then there are other items that, they're not impacting their social issue or their this issue where, maybe you just don't take a stance on that one. But there are certain issues that it should just be plain lobbying our representatives to say, no, you're not going to vote for that. Just because your R's or your D's are telling you got to vote for that, that's not what the Western Slope
It
is.
doesn't make sense for your constituents.
It's like
Right.
CML, where I think where it's like, if you have a joint concern, it's a place for you to join forces when you have that joint concern.
So, Trustee Sanchez, you said the public lands, and what was the other one? You mentioned 3. Which of the ones did you want to sit on?
I think public lands and natural resource, and I will do energy. If you'd like to do the education, I think those are very relevant to our area.
You said?
I'll do it. I'll take the education
Okay.
one. And if you want to, website, I saw you put me on there. I will tell you.
The only reason you were on there is because that was it. The branding group, I just morphed into the website.
I have no
it makes
valuable
sense to
input
have-
about I could give aesthetic. This website's
Okay.
pretty
It's cute.
pretty
The button looks
interesting. Right. that's.
I disagree with that, Kim. You added a lot of value to the branding and the logo stuff, and I could see that translating easily, but I also did not know that Alex had that background. I think he could be a tremendous asset there.
You guys can still consult with me for aesthetic.
Yes, ma'am.
It's gonna get nerdy.
You say dirty or nerdy?
He said
Nerdy with an N. Come on, Chris.
and we don't have to fill every Club 20.
I think we
Policy.
just do to start with those. Those are probably the most important ones. At least it gets us involved, and if we see something or hear something from that, maybe bring it to us and let us know that we need to get somebody on that.
These need to be board members? Because isn't
Yes.
someone, okay, because someone on P and Z is like a agriculture. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's several people.
Jennifer from Planning and Zoning has a strong agriculture policy background.
I think we should be careful with asking P and Z to do a bunch of extra work outside what they already do, because their compensation level doesn't necessarily, not that ours is huge, but it doesn't necessarily take care of them for that.
Did you read my manager's report?
No. I hadn't got to that.
We have a vacancy on Parks, Recreation, Culture Master Plan, because Trustee Poston was on that committee. She had originally indicated that she'd like to continue as a citizen member. After the last meeting, maybe we took too long, but she's stepping away from that role. So we still need another trustee member.
I would jump on that one.
Okay.
I know you had a note in there about if some of these needed to even exist.
Well, since I've been here, we haven't had a water, wastewater, irrigation master plan meeting. I didn't even know that existed.
No, I
until
think that stems from
When we did the water
you
master
did-
plan years ago.
years ago, yeah.
We haven't had a code enforcement committee meeting. Didn't know that one existed until I started diving
I
into this
forgot
stuff.
until.
I think
until
that-
I have a feeling
Yeah.
everyone forgot.
There is that
Well,
one.
and some of
yeah.
that, having that person now maybe negates the need for that committee.
I think that was a workaround to try and direct
Yeah,
staff on what we wanted to focus on at that time.
I think so.
What does the Middle Colorado Watershed Council entail?
I was on that for a while.
It's a lot of meetings.
It's a lot
Yeah,
of
it's a-
time.
the-
yeah.
It's about the Colorado. It's basically Colorado preserving the Colorado River, and then it
It's-
also has morphed into the Wildfire Collaborative.
It's a lot of
It's
work.
basically mitigating the impacts of climate events, fires, because we all draw our water off the Colorado, and when there's a big fire,
I was fascinated with what they had to say. I mean, if I was like retired and had all the money, all the time and money in the world, then I would
It
join.
just took up a lot of time.
I don't know. That sounds like a big commitment. So I don't want to overextend myself.
I go to those already.
Yeah.
I got you covered.
Hey. Thank God.
I mean, we can get rid of those two if we.
Okay. I think that's the only other one that is really out there is you had asked to have a seat on the River Center Board of Directors, but we haven't had any further conversations about that.
I don't think that's necessary.
Where specifically is that?
That's a group that works out of Newcastle that provides emergency assistance. And we do provide them with, I'm trying to remember the dollar amount, I won't say it correctly off the top of my head, but we do provide them some funds.
Yeah, I don't think it's a.
It's not, it's maybe $4,000 tops. But historically, when we are giving these groups funds, there's been a request to sit on their board.
Right, gotcha.
I think if we keep giving them the funds, they'll be okay with us not being there.
I'm sure they.
Well, and with the, I think because we give them the funds, they give a breakdown of here's how much of our total funds have actually gone to benefit Silt residents directly.
And they did. It was good, a benefit to Silt. I'm not saying that at all.
For sure.
I think it's a worthy thing to give some funds to because it does benefit the citizens. I just don't think somebody being on the board is necessary at this point.
I agree.
What's the
unless
Garfield
somebody really
County
feels moved to
Senior
do it.
Programs Advisory Board?
That is the group that talks about the traveler, the senior meals, et cetera. And that's another one that I sit on.
I guess with all these different committees, is there time built out or different points in the year in which updates are provided, or just as kind of different items occur brought back during, trustee comments?
Just to say, typically during board comments.
Yeah.
Is that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Unless it's like the code enforcement committee and there's no updates.
Well, that's why it's going away.
Yeah, and then it wasn't useful.
Okay. I don't know that there's any other changes, but we'll make those changes.
And then can you, once it's changed, can you send this to us so
You
I can
remember
keep
what you
track of
serve
all
on?
the things
I-
that I'm
absolutely.
committed myself to?
Okay. We good on that one?
Motion to approve the resolution with the changes discussed.
Okay. Someone like to
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 5, series 2026 with the changes as discussed.
Second.
All right. Motion by trustee Clausen to approve resolution number 5, series 2026 with the changes as discussed. Seconded by trustee Seifert. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Manager and staff reports.
I'll try to make this quick due to the time. I put information in there about a little bit more of the background regarding the parking issue on 8th Street. This is going to become more of an issue as we do more enforcement, especially if we start getting, into some of the trailers that are parked throughout town. But I wanted everybody to be a little bit aware. I have 4 other items that I'm going to touch on real quickly. The Leadership Forum is Wednesday evening at the Hotel Colorado, 5:30 to 7, I think it was. Had one of the transportation work group today, which is trying to address the loss of funding for the hogback route and how we might solve that. We had a fairly good meeting where RAFTA gave us some pretty good information this morning, or this noon. The hogback route, I think you guys are aware of this, costs about $950,000 to operate. RAFTA is looking for the communities that are being benefited, including the county, to contribute somewhere around 50% of that. In 2026, the county ponied up $250,000, which was a significant decrease from 2025, but much better than what they had proposed for 2026, which was $0. Town of Silt committed, but has included in the budget $40,000 for RAFTA, and the city of Rifle contributes $40,000. Based upon the difference, we're looking at about $140,000 current gap that we're trying, that RAFTA's looking for commitments to fill somehow. And that's, kind of where we are right now. So at least we have a general idea of what the number is. I'm not sure what it's going to look like in terms of trying to fill that gap, but that's the delta that we're trying to solve for. You just adopted a resolution for setting committees. I don't know whether you want to actually establish a committee for the 250th, 150th celebration this coming summer, but we are starting to do some planning on that going forward. So if anybody's really interested in helping us out there. And then the last item.
Do we want to just maybe have that be part of that?
I was going to say.
What about the Parks and Rec culture be just kind of?
We can dump it in their laps.
Keith and I just asked the mayor, and the mayor and I are the ones on that, so
All
we're
right.
saying that we would.
It just got dumped in your laps.
Okay.
All right.
Part of it's gonna be on my lap anyway, because I was told it has to be a horseshoe tournament, so
Yeah.
I already got part of it.
You already got voluntold for that one. The last thing that I wanted to bring the board up to speed on is I directed Jeff Lehman to start the recruitment process for a permanent chief. We will talk about this at the next meeting. If you recall, we talked early on, we had some discussion about whether there was regionalization that could occur with police departments. As we delved into kind of the specifics, it's probably a 2-year process for us to go through that, if there's even any interest in doing it. That being said, it's not fair to Chief Gress to keep him in an interim role for an extended period of time. It's not fair to the department. So we're going to start the process to hire a permanent chief. So we'll get that going. What that is going to mean for the 7 of you is that there will be a day in March-ish, beginning of March, that we're going to need a commitment, because unless you're abdicating your authority to appoint a chief, the Board of Trustees is, under the charter, the appointment authority, so you need to interview our candidates.
It'd be similar to the process like we did for your position.
Yes, yeah. And so I would expect that it would be a day commitment where you're going to end up interviewing, the finalists that we bring to you. But we are starting that process, and I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. With that, I'll shut up.
Next.
Yeah.
You got anything?
No.
I just had one question on the list that was up there. What are the peer communities you often look at when comparing the town to just other areas for?
Depends on what I'm comparing them to. If I'm looking at compensation, I compare to our neighbors.
Okay.
Because that's who we're competing against to attract employees. If it's service levels, I will look at communities that are of similar size. So, Silt is roughly 3,900 people. I would look at 3,000 to 6,000 person communities. It just kind of as the peer group.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Police-wise, Sheila put some stats in your packet. If you want to tilt your head, you can read them. These are the last couple years from 2025 and 2024. Roughly about the same numbers. The officers write about 54% warnings to tickets. Obviously had the staff issues up until recently, so we lost one officer to Carbondale. We have 2 in the academy. Somebody asked last month about the Flock and Ring merger and access. We looked into that. Flock said if
if law enforcement needs some kind of footage, they're kind of the go-between between them and the customer subscriber to see if they'll give some kind of permission to get that footage. In my experience, on a major case, we do a neighborhood canvas anyway. We knock on doors to see if, not even if you have Ring cameras, but if you witnessed anything or saw or whatever. So hopefully that answers your question. Around March or April, about every quarter, I'll give similar stats and then maybe some highlights and stuff like that.
We weren't involved in any of that flock that got compromised in the state. It was on TV. It was on.
We're the only ones in the country that got vandalized, but
No, it got hacked into.
I don't know. That's
No.
not. There's other ones that have had cables cut and things happen because in my day job we do some work for that.
Oh, this got hacked into.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That was a different deal. That's some of the flock data got compromised, so I didn't know how far it went.
People in the nation.
It was on Channel 31 News
Yeah, it wasn't true.
here November, I think it was.
no, we weren't part of that.
Okay, I just checking.
I guess, so that was, Chris had been the one I think that talked about Glenwood opting in, like citizens can opt in to let the police department have access to the footage. My concern is with Flock's merger. What is the company they merged with doing with the data that's coming from the Flock cameras? Because that's all, I mean, at the end of the day, Derek and I talked about this when we first went with Flock. They're a data acquisition company. That's all they care about is getting data. So
what happens to the data?
So it was sold, the system was sold to us as a tool for law enforcement to help solve crimes, and that the data was basically locked up. No one could access it unless our police department wanted access from our cameras. My concern now is with the merger, did someone in the town of Silt click on a new button for terms of agreement, and now we've given them permission to be able to use that data for, they're trying to see how many red cars get sold in Colorado now, so they're using the data to use
To
red
go-
cars,
to
yeah.
go find
So that's
Susie's
my
sometime?
concern, is what's happening to that data from another company.
Subscriber?
Yeah, well, from, whoever
Someone who's not law enforcement.
that's not law enforcement is now doing with that data.
I'll look into it. I have a chief from Michigan. He got hired by Flock. Great guy. I'll tap into him and see to answer more of that specific question.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's still, I want to make sure that every photo in the town of Silt is still locked away unless our police department wants to look at it. If there's a single entity outside of our police department that can get access to that without our permission, then I want to terminate the contract.
What about like the Flock system? I can ask Albuquerque, New Mexico. Access.
That's fine. But I want, if Albuquerque wants our picture, I want our police department to have to authorize that.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, I don't want BMW to be able to
Yeah.
get the access that people are, white cars are the most common, and so now they're going to paint their cars white.
Yeah.
I know at the end of the day, it might be something more complex than that, but I want to make sure that we're still in control of that data from the time that picture's taken to whoever can see it.
I'll give you an answer next 26th.
Okay.
I agree with that. That the Block is facing a number of additional lawsuits in the last 3 months for exactly those issues. They may say it's not happening, but the courts will decide the truth of the matter. And I think if that truth is determined the way that the mayor described it, we simply need to end that contract.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Perfect. Nicole? You want anything?
Nope, I put into the year numbers in my staff report and look forward to 2026.
Okay. All right. Sheila, Amy, anything?
Nothing from me.
Me either.
All right. Perfect. Board comments and future agenda items. Trustee Clausen?
I'll make it quick. I just had a couple of things. I know I've asked about it a bunch of times, but the lights in the east roundabout, that one pole's been down since June. I mean, is there any way we can get who the powers that be or whoever
we are
owns that
working-
thing to fix it?
We are working to solve that, as well as a number of light poles that have lights that are not working.
Okay, cool. And then at one point in time, at the wastewater treatment plant, you know, at the gate, there's like a big metal box. And at one point in time, the town was allowing like septic companies to dump in there. Is that still going on?
No, it is not. I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Holy
Okay.
buckets.
Still
God has
here.
spoken.
We didn't know you were here all night. Okay.
No, there is nobody dumping in that box. That's for people that we trust and know what they're dumping. Not anybody can dump in that box.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't necessarily need anybody, but is that something we want to continue to allow? Just because, you know, the plant, you know, it's more or less for, you know, treating silt residents sewage.
That would be something that does our jetting, a contractor that will continue doing our jetting and our sewer main service. When they have to dump, we'll let them dump, and that's about the only people.
Okay, cool. All right. So that, and then the other thing I have is, you know, the gentleman who was in here earlier about the trailers and everything. My biggest thing is he has a gooseneck backhoe trailer that takes up 2.5 spaces. And I saw that and I was gonna say something. That is.
His complaint to us was, and we received a citizen complaint about the dump truck, so, and we kind of let it go, and then we tagged it, whatever. His biggest complaint is, you're only doing it to me, not this person and that person. But in the same sentence, he doesn't want them to get in trouble. He doesn't want to be the snitch, but that's his ultimate complaint is, why are you picking on me when they're also doing it? So.
There's another aspect to this, in that when that business license was applied for, it did not include storage of contractors.
And that was my next question.
So there's a bit of a disconnect. The individual has said he's leaving the tenancy and moving out of town in April. There is a bigger issue, and it's consistency in how we approach dealing with parking. And we're gonna have a larger discussion about parking, especially in our downtown core.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, it's not just this isolated incident. It's all over town. But, you know, parking a bunch of trailers in the downtown just makes the town look trashy. And, I mean, if I had an excavation business, yeah, I'd buy something in the trade center where I have place on my property to park all my equipment. So I'm not having to basically, you know, over town parking.
The other aspect is we do not have any parking for trailers in town.
Yeah.
We really don't. I mean, you're just using up street parking if you're attached. So, I mean, there's some policy questions that we are gonna have to wrestle with.
Yeah, and I did see the 2-hour signs, and I looked at them, and I'm like, well, that's totally different than what's on Main Street. So
That's on us. We've removed those 2-hour signs on 8th Street because they were inconsistent with what was on Main Street. Plus, there were complaints about the limitation. So we have, again, we have some work to do on policy regarding parking.
all right, that's all of my comments and griping.
All right.
I want to welcome our new member to the city council.
That's all I got. That's all you got? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
I will also welcome Alex. So happy to have you join us. Thanks also to Andrea for all her years of service. And thanks as well to Kim and to Justin for getting reelected. And finally, thanks to all of you for letting me continue to be the mayor pro tem. I appreciate it. That's it.
I've got nothing tonight. We're just gonna move this way so Alex gets the last word. So Trustee Britnell.
Again, yeah, just welcome Alex. It's an honor to get to do this. I feel like sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not, but that's the way it goes, and that's part of the responsibility of it. The weather's been great, and so continue to see lots and lots of people up playing disc golf, people playing shoes, doing all those fun activities, being out and about, kids at the skate park, and just to be respectful of your neighbors and do all the things that we need to do to make this town great.
Trustee Engelhardt.
Okay, at the last CML policy committee meeting, and I may be exposing my ignorance, maybe we have something like this, but one town, they said they have an ordinance because of street racing that you could actually take someone's vehicle, confiscate their vehicle for driving dangerously fast. And it made me think of Mr. Mayor and his comments about the four-wheeling and like, we gave you this privilege and we can take it away. And it just made me think like, hey, there's an idea for us. If, you know, if you feel like it's out of control and you wanted to really we would have some, you know, strong enforcement tactic, that would be one. Like, we could confiscate your four-wheeler if you're, you know, something like that. So
I think the first time we auction off somebody's side-by-side,
people will go the speed limit.
people will go the speed limit.
Right.
Yeah.
So just something, you know, you pick up on all kinds of things at those meetings, and that was just one that I thought I would bring back because it did make me think of you and your comments. And yes, welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
Floor is yours, Trustee Sanchez.
Thank you for those who voted for me, and thank you for this board for being so welcoming. Very excited to work with you all, doing the thankless government work that we're doing, and really excited to just be in local government, helping make the sausage that keeps this town running. So,
All right. Okay. Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Trustee Seifert made a motion, made a motion to adjourn the meeting, seconded by Trustee Britnell. All in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed?
Hey,
And
I mean, come on, we've had so much fun, let's just keep going.
My pledge to
Motion
you
passes
guys
6-1.
is that